Good morning, good afternoon, good evening around the world. My name is Doug Brunke. I'm the founder and CEO of Global Chamber. We have a conversation today. I don't see myself on my phone, and so that's a little bit disconcerting, but that's okay. We have a conversation today. It's a Globinar. It's a welcoming of global talent on J-1 intern and trainee visas. And as we were talking about prior to the recording starting today, this is a conversation for really U.S. companies that are international or not, and then international companies that are operating in the U.S. So those of you who are running businesses, you should know how these programs work and take advantage of these programs. And the good news is that we have someone who knows very well how that works, and they're able to administer it as part of an organization, Global Chamber, that utilizes interns that are international. We found that the administration of it takes skill. It's not like falling out of bed and managing this. You need to work with someone who knows what they're doing for many reasons, for the intern's sake, and of course, for your own sake, including legal issues. So, Nicola Milinkovic is the works on these types of challenges and programs and is able to set up these companies and this service for you. I The company is called AIFS Professional Pathways. So thank you, Nicola, for your leadership. Thank you for the firm's leadership. And I understand that there'll be a presentation about 40 minutes or so. And those of you in the audience, please raise your hand or unmute yourself at the end for Q&A. Feel free to use the chat area as well for comments, including questions. And then those of you who are on video, which will be most of you, please feel free to get in touch with us. We'll put in the chat area information about contacting Nicola. And also, I'm going to guess that at the end, there's a slide that talks about how to contact him. Nicola, I turn it over to you. Thanks for the opportunity to learn more.
Thank you very much, Doug, for the invitation, for the collaboration. Great to be here with all of you, and to share this immigration space that's definitely challenging to say the least in today's day and age. Just a, I'll give you a quick intro just on who I am. So I am with AIFS Professional Pathways in a business partner manager role. And speaking of cultural exchange and immigration, I have done so myself several times across the world. I had a couple of different internships internationally, and I am an expat. I've lived in 4 different countries and in the States for about 20 years, not consecutively, but on and off. So I've also worked across different industries from United Nations to professional sports, tech, and then now in cultural exchange and immigration. And my degree is in psychology. So when it comes to global development, talent development, I feel like that's been the story of my life. So I'm truly excited to be in this role and to be able to speak to what we do, how we do it, and to help participants coming from abroad and companies that are in the U.S. or abroad maintain that learning and development and the global footprint. So I'm very excited to be here. This is, yeah, as Doug, as you said, we'll go around 40 minutes, and then we'll definitely have some time for Q&A. This is going to be the agenda for today. We'll talk about who we are, AIFS Professional Pathways, give a little bit of a background on the Bridge USA and J-1 visa program. We'll dive into specifics. Interns, trainees are the two subcategories of the J-1 visa that we sponsor as the U.S. Department designated sponsor. And there are about 15 subcategories, and Professional Pathways focuses on interns and trainees. We'll talk about host companies. So those are the businesses that we mentioned at the beginning, that are in the US, as well as that have entities abroad. And then we'll wrap up with just a brief overview of what the application process looks like, just so you have an idea of what that is, and some of the nuances and technical sides behind it. Okay. So this is a history of AIFS as an umbrella organization. It's been around for a long time, since 1964. Is one of the oldest and largest and most respected cultural exchange organizations in the world. So uh, you'll see at the bottom of your screen all the divisions that fall under AIFS, and Professional Pathways is one of them. As I mentioned, we focus on interns and trainees. So that's an inbound pathway for nationals coming to the United States. Um, AIFS is focuses on cultural exchange and facilitates cultural exchange programs for 40,000 plus participants each year. And is, has been really honored to support 1.8 million individuals across programs with cultural, educational, and professional exchange. Uh, we designated by the U.S. Department of State. The we sponsor following categories: au pair, camp counselor, intern, and trainee. Those are the inbound programs, so foreign nationals coming to the United States. We do have offices abroad in 6 different countries. And some of our other programs include professional training, college study abroad, internships abroad, au pair, camp counselors, high school study and travel abroad, and insurance services. So for all the participants that are coming from, for interns and trainees, for example, everyone who is coming from abroad to the States, they will be covered with health insurance through professional pathways. This is taking a deeper dive into the particular division that I am with. Um, I mentioned that we support interns and trainees, and we'll dive into the difference between the two. But who do we support, right? So we support U.S. companies. We work with immigration law firms. Typically, U.S. companies might, if they are if they're a smaller size, but if they're mid-sized or if they're global already, they will have an immigration team that manages all of their immigration. So we um, partner with immigration attorneys, for example, in such a way that for the J-1 visa, particularly for interns and trainees, a designated third party designated by the Department of State needs to be involved in the process. So immigration attorneys might help with the non-immigrant work visas, such as the H-1B that you've been all reading in the news and hearing about it. And so then for the full-time work visa, the host company that the employer can serve as a sponsor, and they might engage an immigration attorney to take care of the immigration process. But for the interns and trainees, they're not allowed to, so it has to be a State Department designated third party, and that's our role. So we would partner with immigration attorneys, and they can be involved in a flexible way in case management, but we are the designated sponsor for that, for those two categories. We partner with universities abroad, and especially those that have co-op programs and are looking for internships for their students in the States. Students, participants from abroad, and professionals at all levels. So again, they could be mid to senior level professionals that are coming on the trainee visa, and we'll dive into that in a moment. But they are also expressing the need to train in the U.S. with U.S. businesses. Okay, so who is this for? Just to take it to the next level, and what we do in that process, we provide the resources, knowledge, a lot of educating about immigration, what the process looks like, and competitive services to pursue talent development and cultural immersion in the US. So we have a streamlined application system that is pretty innovative that can actually take cohorts of people as well, not only one person at a time. So immigration attorneys might have 20 participants that they wish to transfer to us, and our system can allow for that. So we have a streamlined application system. We provide resources. We issue all the federal documents that the participants take to the U.S. consulate in their home country or country of residence and actually obtain the U.S. visa. So I mentioned, we provide a lot of support and education to people how to even search for internships if they don't want to engage us in finding them an internship, um, where to look for accommodation and support when they arrive in the US through regular check-ins with the host company as well as the participants. So the support is not just for issuing the federal documents, but it actually continues during the process and after they arrive in the United States. This is a little bit of the history on the Bridge USA program. So it is the largest and longest running U.S. Department of State public diplomacy initiative, established in 1961. And what is its mission? To increase mutual understanding between Americans and people of other countries, right? So that is probably more important now than ever, with all things considered. So what does that mutual understanding entail? Promoting democratic norms, for example, improve perception of the United States as well as its citizens and the culture, increase security, advancing innovation and collaboration between countries, and developing skills of future leaders. So this is the mission of the Bridge USA program. And it was established, the J-1 visa was established to bring people from across the globe to the United States for academic and professional cultural exchange opportunities. It is overseen and regulated by the Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs. So this is just a little bit about the structure um, and the history behind um, how and when this was created. Okay. So taking it just to the next layer below, particularly to the J-1 visa. So the Bridge USA program, as I mentioned, the J-1 visa has 15 subcategories, okay? And we're focusing on the intern and the trainee subcategory in this presentation. So it is a non-immigrant temporary cultural exchange visa. Okay, we mentioned that it's got 15 subcategories that allow foreign nationals to come to the US for education, research, teaching, and professional experiences. Okay. The latest data shows that there are 300,000 exchange visitors from 200 countries annually coming to the United States. So it's a huge program that's been very successful over the years, that typically has bipartisan support within the US government. And it's been a massive opportunity for the exchange, for the foreign nationals to learn about the American culture, about the American businesses, the way technologies, the way things are done in the States, but also for local organizations and companies to to develop, to grow, to diversify, to um, maintain their international footprint, and to receive to be exposed, I guess, to the top global innovative talent. Uh, Here we have a little bit more about what the programs and the goals and the intent of this visa are, of these two categories. So to enhance exchange visitor skills and expertise in their academic or occupational field and gain exposure to U.S. culture and business practices through participation in a structured and guided on-the-job training. For interns, it bridges the gap between formal education and practical work experience. Okay, so what should this intern and trainee visa be used for? Full-time positions with on-the-job training components, positions related to the J-1 academic and professional background. Okay, so the training is related to, if it's an intern, for example, related to their field of study. If it's a trainee, right, meaning an established professional, could be early career, could be senior level position, mid to senior level. Uh, it's supposed to enhance and provide opportunity to enhance skills and learn new things related their to their professional experience. Immersion in U.S. businesses and communities, opportunity to learn about U.S. technologies, methodologies, and business practices, and professional collaboration and shared ideation. Okay, so this is a full-time non-immigrant temporary stay visa. So in other words, after the training, the participants would go back home, whether their country of citizenship or permanent residence or current residence. So, for example, we have a student from Germany who is studying in Korea, and their internship is in the US. So they would go back to Germany or Korea if they are currently studying in a country other than their citizenship, or to their country of citizenship, and look for a job or apply the skills that they have learned and knowledge in their next position. Or if it's an internship and they are part of a co-op program, for example, to go back to school and get their degree. What should the intern and trainee visa not be used for? Permanent full-time positions. So this is, I guess we can talk about the H-1B a little bit. But so this is not a replacement for an H-1B visa, but it does provide a great alternative pathway for individuals to come to the United States, keep developing, keep learning, keep enhancing their skills, keep bridging that gap so that there are no breaks in their resume, so to speak. But it is a temporary stay. Interns can stay up to a year, trainees can stay up to a year and a half. And so it's not supposed to replace a full-time non-immigrant work visa, but rather to provide that training. There has to be an underlying learning component. The difference is that for example, for H-1B, a company in the US would be bringing a specialist, someone who is already a developed professional, or maybe someone who is out of graduate school, a young professional, and bring them to the US to serve as a specialist in their field to work. So it's not so much about training, but about bringing someone to help the workforce here. It's also not supposed to fill a labor shortage need. So manual labor is, for example, prohibited under the intern and trainee visa category. And the intent to bridge transfer to other visa categories to remain in the US. So there is that. Now, do people get offered full-time positions after their internship or traineeship in the States? Yes, but that is another story. That is something that we don't really deal with. In that case, immigration attorneys might need to be involved to make that transfer. So this is, not meant to be used in that way, but to really enhance the person's training and development. A little bit about the difference between interns and trainees. Let's start with trainees because that's, I would say, maybe more relevant for the audience in this webinar, folks that are coming from U.S. companies or companies abroad. So, who are trainees? Okay, they typically hold a post-secondary degree from recognized academic institutions outside of the US. Post-secondary could mean bachelor's, master's, or um, doctorate. And they have at least 12 months of relevant full-time work experience outside of the US. Or if they don't have a degree, then at least 5 years of relevant full-time work experience outside of the US, um, would be necessary. At least be 18 years of age, non-US citizens, of course, and they would need to demonstrate the level of English. The program duration for trainees can be anywhere from 3 weeks to 18 months. Interns are students who are enrolled full-time in a university or post-secondary education abroad. Again, it could be bachelor's, master's, doctorate, um, and they could be enrolled for just one semester and they could be starting their internship in the US. They would be eligible for that. Or who have received a degree already, regardless of the level, and um, start their internship within 12 months upon graduation in the United States. Again, at least 18 years of age, non-US citizens, and demonstrate the English proficiency. The program duration can go anywhere from 3 weeks to 12 months. Flipping the script a little bit to host company eligibility and responsibilities. Okay. I'm actually going to just pause here for a moment, let everyone kind of read this just for a moment. I think it's fairly self-explanatory, and then we will resume just to give everyone a minute to scan through this.
That sounds good.
Yeah, I feel like I've been talking, people need a break from my voice.
It's really good information, and I really like the part where you were explaining the holistic benefits of the program. It's great to remember all of those really important points. So thank you.
Yeah,
So
no, my pleasure. It is important to remember the bigger picture, especially I would say especially in today's day and age where we focus so much on maybe some of the negative things or the little things that are happening. We miss out on what's a deeper value here. And so the Bridge USA program really is fantastic from that perspective. As you read this, I will just say that we work um, even with startup companies. They particularly like to utilize foreign nationals as a way to diversify. A lot of the mid-sized to global organizations have a corporate social responsibility that um, it's in their DNA sort of from the very beginning to the professional exchange, the internships, giving back to the community, giving back to the world is has been a part of why they have been so successful. So they love to utilize this visa. The especially global companies, Google, for example, brings several hundred interns a year. And so they have this massive rotation. We'll dive into some of the specifics of the companies that we work with just across industries, not mentioning any names, but the way this is utilized. Okay. So moving on here, just for the position requirements, I would say this is another. Uh, I think this is an advantage because it says here that the training needs to be at least 60% on site. So if we look at 3 out of 5 days need to be on site, and the other 2 days can be remote, which means that the participant still needs to move to the US. Um, we do live in a digital age. Many positions are remote, but the Department of State has always been a big advocate for in-person learning and interaction. And as a psychologist, I gotta say, from very subjectively, I fully support that because one of the basic needs we have as people is relatedness and that interaction. We are social beings. So the fact that this is full time, can be paid as well, full time training in person, at least 60%, uh, I'm a big fan of that. I think it's great. I know where we can also be a little bit burned out from Zoom and from being behind the screen. So it's great to be back in person. And that part of the vision of the Department of State never really ended. So it's very cool in a specific way. But position requirements, the training, right? So it needs to be there need to be clear learning objectives, and the training plan is one of the documents we issue as a sponsor, and that is clearly laid out in terms of what that looks like. I'll speak about that in a moment. The activities need to advance pre-existing knowledge and skills, right? So if you're a student, if you're an intern, they need to build on they need to build new skills on related to the field of study that you are in. If you're a young professional or an established professional, they need to build on the skills that you already have. They need to expand on them. Okay. There can be clerical activity, but not really exceeding 20%. So it's really hands-on applied training. On-site with an experienced supervisor from that particular industry. Part of the training plan is we look at how will the performance be evaluated, what are the levels of the training, the rotations, or the phases as we call them. How will they be evaluated? What are some of the deliverables that the participant will be required to deliver? And what are the cultural activities that they will be exposed to? This is a massive piece, right? So what is the company doing to promote American values, American cultural activities, right? And that could be, anything from, anywhere from organizing or taking people to sports events, company outings, inviting people for if the participants are in the US for a holiday, inviting them home for Thanksgiving or 4th of July celebration. So it can have, depending on the town and the city that they are in, um, we need to see the cultural activities as well. Okay, so depending on the position duration, positions exceeding 6 months do need to have multiple phases of training. We spoke about that briefly, so that we see that they are getting exposure to different sides of the business. So if somebody's coming in for business development, if they're studying business, and if they're going to be here for 6 months, then we want to see that maybe 3 months are spent in understanding the marketing, being trained in the marketing side. The other 3 months maybe being trained in developing branding awareness through a CRM tools. Okay. If it's hospitality, um, we do want to see at least 3 rotations, because hospitality, whether they are restaurants or hotels or resorts, they encompass multiple departments within any one setting. And so the rotations need to be, at least 3 rotations. So for example, front of the office, management, business, and kitchen operations, for example, or kitchen dynamics. So we do want to see that there's a variety, that people are really being exposed to all sides of business. Okay, these are uh, industries that we sponsor. I should mention that we are designated to sponsor multiple industries. There really is no limit. Um, there are some nuances in terms of sponsoring industries that are in the medical field. So, for example, any sort of patient contact or personal contact, if it's working with animals or working with people, is not eligible. But within the medical field, for instance, anything related to research, design, operations, business, sales, medical device sales, lab work, research, that all is eligible. So any sort of, if it's patient or animal contact, direct patient or animal contact, physical therapy, for example, as well would fall under that. They would not be eligible. But other anything else within that field, absolutely, or within that organization would be eligible. So these are some of the industries that we work with. We are designated to support companies in the States, anywhere in the US. Participants can come from anywhere in the world, really. And as I mentioned, virtually all industries. Uh, this is now diving. I'm going to talk a little bit about how we work with companies. I'll give you some specific examples of the types of companies that we support and what that might look like so that people have a better understanding. Um, the Speaking of interns, just for a moment, these are your traditional internship programs, right? Fostering young talent for future opportunities so that they are gaining exposure. They're typically students or just recently graduated. And this is where we support university and institutional partnership. And then the trainee side of the visa is young talent and then mid to upper level professionals. So if we're talking about young talent, onboarding global talent to understand business practices across offices or business units, introduction to business teams, projects, and clients. So this would be happening in the US. And then um, when it comes to mid and upper level professionals, these are sort of typical rotational training programs. Developing retention, increasing retention through talent development, right? So we see that most successful companies are those that do have an outlined training program for their staff. And there are companies that send their staff for 3 months at a time to three different countries, because certain departments of business are sitting in specific regions of the world. And those are the companies where staff feel the happiest. They feel like their talents are being optimized. There are opportunities to learn and develop. High-level management training, absolutely, right? Just because someone's a manager or a senior level executive, the, does the learning ever stop, right? Maybe they have nowhere to go up in their role, but they can definitely expand cross-departmentally, and the expansion of skills happens not only up but sideways, right? Of course, international transatlantic project collaboration. That's what this is all about at its core, and improved ability to support international clients or partners. So, to give you an example, for instance, the let's say a tech company in the US has a partnership with a university in Canada, and these examples are all the examples that we are involved with at the moment. We work heavily with Canadian universities. And so, for example, a tech company has a partnership with a university. University has a co-op program, and a part of that program, their students need to have an internship that's in the US to graduate, or this doesn't have to be in the US, but they have an agreement with companies in the States. So we would serve as a sponsor in that situation. We will work with both the participant and the host on the application. There are two sides of the application process. So the participant, and I'll speak about this in a moment, but a participant fills out one side of the application, the host company fills out the other side of the application. We review both for eligibility. And then if everything looks good, if we have any questions, we go back and forth with them to identify the clear training plan, right? And then we issue federal documents based on that. Another example would be that we're currently involved with is, for example, a pharma company that is big on research. Okay, and so, for example, again, the product lead that's sitting in the US might reach out to their alma mater and be willing to host that university's undergraduate or graduate students for research and development purposes. Okay. Switching gears a little bit to hospitality, I think this is a really popular industry. But for example, a hotel chain, a US hotel chain that opens up a branch in Asia and needs to train staff abroad in the US on customer service and so that they can also improve their English and on cultural dynamics. This is really important. We know, I would say personally from living in a few different countries, that American customer service is, in my opinion, top of the line. So I know the standards of American businesses are kept at a high level across the board. So if a US hotel opens up a branch in Asia, they would want to train staff over there so that the level of service is the same in the US as well as abroad. Um, for example, a German engineering company, uh, we are seeing that example now is has a manager training program, and they, for example, send managers for 3 months to India because some of the production is sitting there. 3 months in Australia, 3 months in the US. We would serve as the J-1 trainee visa sponsor for them when they are coming to the States. So they are established professionals. A Japanese car company, right? We're working with someone right now. Uh, the Japanese are very big on sending managers abroad, and so they might send, for example, 25 managers um, for 6 months at a time to the US to learn about collaboration, to learn about business practices, cultural American culture, American business mindset, and to align approaches so that they can serve their customers in a better way. Um, Another example I could give you is a mid-sized global engineering or marketing firm that is sitting in the Netherlands, right? And so they might send um, a leader for 18 months training to the US to different smaller outposts to understand how each side of the business is run and operated. So that is something that we have seen happen. We are working with a startup right now, actually, that is already global, and so we are seeing that professional and cultural exchange. Okay. Whoops. Here we go. I hope this is not going to change. Oh, maybe it will. All right, back here. Sorry about that. To just to reiterate for a moment what the benefits are of this classification: opening doors to new talent pipelines, increased innovation and collaboration, competitive development opportunities, attracting new talent. It is a low risk visa category, so again, there's no cap. We have fairly competitive pricing, which I will go over in a moment, and it's international, and it really is all about providing that global interaction and collaboration. Okay. It can be paid. If it's a trainee side of the visa, typically, yeah, companies will pay trainees, even interns, although it's not mandatory on the intern side, but we see a lot of companies providing some either accommodation or compensation to foreign nationals. Okay. These are some of the sponsor responsibilities. This is on our end. So we are vetting both the participant, the host, and the program. We are issuing federal documents, and we are validating their visas once they arrive. All this is going into the CVIS record maintenance and updates. That's the government way of keeping track of everyone who comes into the country. And so, as I mentioned, our support doesn't stop once participants arrive. Really just quickly about what this application process looks like. We have two different processing timeframes. One is a standard processing, which is about 4 weeks, and then we have also a 1 week expedited processing option. Creating an account, submitting an application, as I mentioned, as a participant and as a host. We would then evaluate that, and if all looks good, issue the training plan and the certificate of eligibility, the two documents that a participant um, will take to a U.S. consulate. Okay, this is just a quick snapshot of what the documents would look like, and a little bit about our fees. They are broken down by program length, and by a category if they're intern or a trainee. And then you will also see that we do offer health insurance as a visa sponsor, which is also fairly inexpensive. I would say I think anybody will argue these are these are great prices. And then the CVIS fee is also mandatory. These are mandatory fees that we have. Okay. Quickly on immigration updates, just one more minute, and then I'm going to wrap up here. We are seeing additional vetting that consulates are utilizing. Typically, a couple of additional weeks of social media vetting. So, depending on the location and the geographical part of the world, we can tell you what the approximate wait times are for consular appointments. But there is a 2 week additional added social media vetting, and then a $250 visa integrity fee at the time of visa issuance, which is refundable because the actual appointment and the meeting at the consulate has its own, consulates have their own fees. And consulates issue visas. We have no way of control who gets approved or denied, but because we are a designated sponsor, we this year, to be honest, we have had a lot of visa approvals as a sponsor, so that's good news. Okay, I would like to thank you at this point, and this is the way you can contact us. Go on our website, send us an email, ask any questions. We're here to provide resources, to educate, but of course, discuss. If you have a case that you want to run by us, we can also review it, free of charge, say, is this eligible? Is this not eligible? And then, of course, get into the nitty-gritty of sponsorship. So these are the way to contact us. And any questions, please feel free. But I guess let's open it up for questions. I think maybe now would be a good time.
That sounds good. One of the immigration experts in the audience is Lauren Cohen. And Lauren, I don't know whether you can say anything or not. Have you been involved with the J-1 programs? I presume
I
you
have not been involved with J-1 programs, but I get requests all the time. That's why I just put in the chat to set up a call because I don't do them at all. So there's a nice synergy there. Thanks, Doug.
Yeah, it's complicated, and you've got to be an expert. And I think one of the real keys, also, you mentioned, I didn't fully grasp this before today, was it needs to be sanctioned by the State Department, right? So you have to go through the process to get approved as a vendor by the State Department, and they have to vet you and make sure they're comfortable with you. Is that a key aspect so that Lauren, even though she's really talented on all sorts of immigration areas, she can't just jump in and start doing J-1 visas because she has to go through this State Department process?
Yeah, it's been separated in a way that particular types of visa categories only designated third party sponsors can navigate or deal with or handle, and then other types of visas, immigration attorneys. So this is where we collaborate heavily, especially through through exploratory calls to learn about each other by attending conferences. We attend immigration conferences that are regional as well as national every year. So it's always been just a wonderful partnership with immigration attorneys, and trying to do great work together. I mean, we're in it for the same reason, is to support participants and global talent and host companies in the US. But yeah, definitely, it's been regulated a little bit differently within the government. And so it's been a wonderful collaboration. Nothing but that.
Okay, very good.
It's
Thank you.
it's not just, Doug, just to mention just one more thing you mentioned. it sounds more complex than it actually is.
Okay.
We have, especially from the application standpoint. I mean, our internal portal has been, it's been made to streamline everything and to really make it easy to operate, even if for the participant and for the host. But we are always here to obviously help and answer any questions. So we're in it together. No one's left alone without support.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that, because that wasn't my intent to explain it that way. I was thinking of it in terms of, as someone who's used J-1 interns, I can tell from all the forms that we need to fill out that, and the level of detail, that someone has to be thinking about that carefully and
Yeah.
precisely. And that's what you do. And so you make it easy for the company to be able to manage through that. That would be difficult for us to do that just out of the, and so I think
No,
that's,
no, yeah, understood, but you're absolutely right. Yeah, understood. Yep.
thank you. Are there any other questions? I see Andrew. I don't know whether you guys have used J1 interns in the past. I know Ruby Golo with Global Trade Consult has used interns. I'm not sure about using the J1 program, but Ruby, you've used many different kinds of interns on the Ghana side of things. So congratulations on that. And I know you're an expert on managing interns and handling them, so that they progress in their life. It's funny now that I think about it. Look, I know Ruby must be successful, because I've seen some things in LinkedIn with past interns. And just as an aside on the value of internship, one of our first interns is a young man named Joseph, and I didn't quite get the name yet, but there was an announcement that came out yesterday that Rita Marco of Phoenix Sister Cities, the president of that, has been replaced by Joe. And I recognized the name, but I couldn't completely relate how I knew him. And he's a first connection. And so when I went back down in his history, 10 years ago, he was an intern with us. And it was with the Growth Nation, which was previous. The company was transitioning to Global Chamber, but lo and behold, 10 years later, he becomes the president of Phoenix Sister Cities, and we've already had multiple back and forths around collaborating going forward. And so his perspectives changed, and he wanted to become much more involved with global business and things like that. And so, from the intern side of things, it's fun to watch many of them get experiences and then live extraordinary lives. One other intern that came to Arizona was more on the political side, and they ended up going back to Croatia and ultimately becoming the president of Croatia. And through their interactions on the Arizona side, they had some ideas and got some thoughts, and they brought some progressive programs to Croatia from that. So whether it's on the political side, mostly on the business side for these interns, it's amazing to see them go back to their own countries and become even more amazing than they are when they start.
These are the exact stories we love to hear. It does start with an internship, and then it's amazing to see the pathways people take. Pathways, pun not intended, but maybe subconsciously. It's a fantastic story. Yeah, absolutely.
And now that I see Professional Pathways and relate those stories, that your name, the company name, makes even more sense.
Makes even more sense. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's pathways for them, and it's pathways for companies to be able to utilize these resources that are young and talented and moldable, if that's the right word. They're flexible and adaptable in terms of, working on different things. I also love how you describe the training programs and making sure that you continually do that, and also how companies should be interacting with them and and giving them exposure to holidays and things like that. And so we have an intern starting in November, on November 10th, from Korea, I believe. And so we're gonna do a better job at that. We're we only have a couple more minutes left, and so I wonder if you could make any final comments to wrap things up.
Yeah, I would just say, as you mentioned, Doug, I think you've summarized things pretty well in terms of some of the most important points. This visa provides, I think it's a great opportunity to, you know, in general, but maybe especially in today's day and age where there's so much fear, anxiety, uncertainty surrounding immigration. This is a pretty stable option for people to keep growing, developing, keep learning, so that, to shrink those breaks in the resume, for the lack of a better word, and then for companies to keep getting the top innovative talent. I mean, we live in a global world. We have been living in a global world. Everything is global now. And so this is a great way to maintain that, to keep that, and to provide a solution, especially in times that like we live in today. But I would say if anybody has any questions, or if you have ideas, or if you would like to take advantage of it, there's no deadline. There's no deadline of when we could apply, when you can work with us during the year. There are no windows when you can, apply for the J-1 visa, like there are with some full-time work visas. So it's a good opportunity, good way to. It's flexible in that sense, and we have seen, even though we live in highly uncertain times, we have seen a lot of interest from participants for both if they have an internship or a traineeship opportunity, but also if they are looking for placements, we can help with placements as well, depending on the industry and the region of the US. There has been a lot of interest for placements, for example, oh, I have a degree in such and such, and I'm looking for such and such a company. Can you help me find something? So we can certainly address that as well. So it just depends on each individual situation, but we are more than happy to chat, answer questions, and take it from there.
Absolutely. What is the action item that they should go to the website, and then there's a place there they can sign up?
Yeah, there is on our website, there is a way for them to submit a lead form as well.
Okay.
They can even start an application if they're a host or a participant, and we'll be notified of that. And then just email us um, if anybody needs guidance or has questions. Always available for that.
The caveat I would leave is that, yes, maybe uncertain, but I would say it's more dynamic times right now. The certainty of global business expanding is absolute. And for global talent to be part of your company is valuable, will always be valuable. This is a no-brainer. This is something that everybody should have. And so I encourage everyone to contact the website, apply to have J-1 interns in your company. There's nothing uncertain about that. That is a certainty that you're going to be successful in terms of that on an ongoing basis, to infuse that kind of talent and good vibe into your company. It is a no-brainer, and is something that is definitely certain. And keep being global and unstoppable. That is also something that's absolutely certain. So thank you so much, Nicola, for the presentation today. Great information, and we look forward to the next time.
Pleasure is mine. Well said, Doug. That last piece, that should be patented. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here with everyone and share this opportunity.
Thank you, and thank you, Shayna. I think your partner in crime is here as well. Thank you, Ruby and Andrew, and everybody here who has been attending. And thank you, those of you who are on the video. You saw the contact information and the website. If you have any questions, contact them directly or contact info@globalchamber.org, and we'll be happy to direct you to Nicola and anybody else on the team. Take care, everybody.
Take care, everyone.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Nicola. Thank you. Great presentation.
Pleasure.
Cheers. Thanks, Sophie.
Thank you, Nicola. Thank you, Doug. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.